So today I'm going to do a quick 15 minutes live of inspo with the incredibly successful Melissa Odabash. And if you haven't heard of Melissa, of course you must have heard of Melissa. She produces the most beautiful and flattering holiday resort wear. I'm just going to add her now. And we are on to help her with the marathon that is running a business, because it can be a long journey, and I really do believe there she is.
We got on there finally.
You okay?
You know why my team left and I have someone else helping me go live. I never go live, so we couldn't figure out how to do it.
Don't worry, you're here now. Thank you so much. I was just explaining, these 15 minutes of inspo, we speak about so many different bits and pieces of sort of growing a business and the how to. And actually, I speak to so many, especially younger female founders, and half of it is them sort of wanting how to practical knowledge. And the other 50, in fact, maybe it's more than that, is just them sort of needing some kind of some advice on how to keep going in this marathon that is running the business, the mental things that are required, and the sort of tools that have helped me to be able to sustain what is a really tough journey. And I wanted to talk, first of all, I'd love to know how long you've been going, because you're an absolute icon, obviously.
Oh, thank you.
And then I'd love to talk through some of the things that personally have sustained you on that journey. So yeah, I mean, massive fangirling here. You've done an amazing job. I absolutely love everything you do. How long has it been?
Well, next year I'm going into my 25th year, so a long time.
Okay, well we're
had many
19, so you're not that much.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay, you're right behind me.
Exactly. And how big is the team now, and how big is the business? Just give us an idea of sort of, how many places that you are, just the size of it.
I sell all over the world.
Yeah.
So I don't know, 70 countries. I don't know how many countries I'm in.
Wow.
And I have my own standalone stores, and I have franchises, and I'm about to open up soon in Dubai and lots of different locations. Yeah, and I've got my own team, like a warehouse outside of London. I built my own warehouses and factories there, but everything's produced in Italy. So yeah, a bit.
I mean, so it's
nothing.
It's now you've got there.
Yeah.
It's huge.
But nothing happens, I have to tell this people starting out, nothing happened overnight. You got to remember, I still had my little bag when I started out, going door to door and getting it into like my first boutiques. I wouldn't tell people that it was my collection, because I don't like to be told no. So I would come in, because I used to model many years ago, and I used to bring it in and say, oh, I'm just a model. They sent me in to see if you like this collection. And I mean, I could sell ice to an Eskimo, so that was quite easy. And by my third year, I made it into Sports Illustrated, and my first shoot was like on Naomi Campbell, Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, all of them.
That's amazing.
Heidi Klum. And then once I got into there, then I got into department stores, but nothing, it's always a bumpy road, and still, like, I believe that you're always learning, especially in today's times, like with technology and everything. You have to constantly keep up. Like, every time I think I know how to solve a problem, another problem arrives, whether it's COVID or Brexit, or how to ship and how not to pay such high duties and taxes. It's been a rough few years as far as the design and all that. For me, is the easiest part. It's logistics, and who can manage that, and who can manage that, and what countries, the borders closed or something's happened. It's all day. I'd say most entrepreneurs are problem solving. Massively. And then the creative side is probably 20% of the business.
Oh, so totally. And I always think people always ask that question, don't they? Like, what do you do if you what do you do if you hit a problem? And I'm like, or they'll say, you know, I was
Yeah,
doing this business and I ended up not, it didn't work out because of X. And I'm like, that's just a standard Tuesday morning, like hump in the
exactly. And it
road.
starts in the morning and it
Yeah,
finishes when you walk out the
exactly.
office.
Exactly.
You never get a break, and you have to
No.
remember it's your brand, it's your baby. So 90% of the problems is not my fault. They're like FedEx went to, I don't know, went to India instead of going to another direction because the plane, whatever. It's always problem solving. And because your
Always.
name's on it, you have to solve the
And you've got
problems. And
to get your head into that right space about that problem solving,
yeah,
because I think if you don't sort of frame it as actually that's the job, but if you see it more as these are problems coming at me, I can't deal, that you will never go the distance. Whereas if you
never.
actually see it, to your point, as this is the road.
It's just part
This,
of, like, and you have to
yeah,
remain calm, and you can't I have the same team I've had for 20 years. Like, I have the same team. I
yeah.
love my team. I love my family, and everybody makes mistakes, and you can't take it out on them. You just be like, okay,
Well, everything
let's. I'm all about how fast can I fix this problem and move to the next thing. I'm not
totally.
about the blame. It's not about the blame game, and you order the wrong rolls of fabric, and you know, it's a hit because they won't let you return it because they wrote the wrong PO number, but it's not the fabric company's fault. It's someone in your team. It's like, okay, it's okay. We'll figure it out later, but let's just correct it now because it's about quick problem solving all the time
Absolutely,
and not
absolutely. I think,
giving up because there's so much in our faces at the moment. Like when I started, many years ago, there was like 10 people doing swimwear and they would do it in the summer only, so and times are different and there's so much, like there was no social media. There was, you had to go and buy your Vogue magazine to see any kind of fashion. So it's easier for entrepreneurs to get their brand out there, but at the same time, you have to know what your competition is because it's people are overwhelmed. And I think with what's going on, they have about a 15-second max attention span. So whatever you're promoting or putting out there, you got 15 seconds to sell it because they flip to the next thing.
totally.
So it's
And I think just sort of, your thing about problems, the other thing that I've hugely noticed is the business is a very, very different thing
mm,
when it grows. It's like running a completely different business. This is the start, and it's like a bit like parenting. It's like
yeah,
the point that the kid gets to 3, you're like, okay, I know this now. And then
yeah,
you're like, oh no, it's going to school and I have to deal with that. And then you go, okay, I kind of know this now. And then it's like, now they're teenagers.
uh,
And the rules just keep changing all the time. Like the rules of the game are constantly evolving. And and I think that's the kind of the dichotomy of wanting to grow the business
yeah.
is that, and then actually only when you get to a certain size do you look back and go, oh, actually, I think my propensity and what I love doing is being in a business this size or this
Oh,
size or whatever. And
I loved my company when I was me and one person. Loved it. Had the best time. And I never ever had any intention of turning this into what it is today.
yeah,
No intention. Didn't even think about it. I was like, I just want to have fun. I want to design for my little few friends. And then it, from one thing and then it got bigger and bigger. But I never I did a talk at Harvard Business School, and I think they're so by the books, and what they learn is by the books. And the questions they were asking me is like, what's your 5-year business plan? I was like, I have no idea. Like, I never plan the future. I never plan what I'm going to do next. Of course, maybe with collections and things like that. But I think too many opportunities come your way and you just got to grab them, and you can't have it written down. In 5 years, I'm going to do exactly this because the world changes within within weeks. So it's, I have no business plan and I love what I do. And my advice is
go with it.
who's ever starting out, because like we were saying, you will encounter problems all day long. You've got to love it. It has to be the core of your like soul, because to get through the hard times, you have to just know that it will pay off in the long run.
I think the other thing that I think I always try and say to people now that are starting off is, what do you actually want? Because I think it's kind of quite old fashioned, maybe of our time 20 years ago. To go, I just want a really big company. I just want to do as best as I can.
Yeah,
And now I'm like, actually pause and reflect and think what's important. Clearly there'll be a cash metric there, which is you shouldn't be shy of
yeah,
for sure. But also, is it important to you that you work 4 days a week? Is it important to you that you have a creative business as opposed to it just being about making
yeah,
money? Is it important to you that you work in a small team? Is it important to you that you never bring in investors and deal with all the stuff that can bring?
yeah.
Because I think you
So,
don't ask yourself those questions, that can make it really,
yeah.
you can end up kind of going to a
I never,
place where
and it's funny as a woman, and you go out to dinners and events and whatever. The first thing every man always asks me is, "So what's the end goal when you're selling?" It's the first thing they ask me, and I said, "You know what? When I'm 80, my friends are going to be 80, and they're still going to want to go swimming with me. So I'll still be designing swimsuits for my 80-year-old friends. It's not about like." I don't know, maybe I'm just different. It was never about the money. It was
yeah.
about doing something I'd love to get up and do. Because at the end of the day, I have a lot of business friends, very successful, started a brand, sold it. And yes, they have a nice lump sum in their bank, but they all went back into the business because they missed it. And I
Oh, you'd
think,
never not do it,
and I
never.
think, and they're big. Like they started like, internets and fashion designers, but you miss it. So you can go on a vacation, you can buy houses, and after about 6 months of gardening and all the things you want to do, you just miss that.
Itching to
You
get back
miss, yeah,
in.
you miss
Definitely,
being
definitely,
creative, and I
definitely.
think, I think that's
You're,
says something like
so you're
whether you sell or not sell.
you're obviously hugely still involved
Yeah.
and passionate, and it's been 25 years. And I
I'm
think
still
what's
the only one left in the office at this time at night. My team still think it's COVID time, so they leave at 4:30.
And I just wanted you to tell us, I know you've got kind of five non-negotiables that you build into your life. And I just think it's really interesting to share those, because I think if you can build those in as something that is crucial to the success of the business, because they are the things that feed you, then actually, surprise, surprise, you flourish, the business flourishes. And I think that's a key part of your toolkit, your business toolkit, is to get that kind of those well-being pillars in the right place for you. And tell me what yours are, Melissa, because
Well, they
they
do change. They do
and
change,
that's great.
because
No, yeah, for sure.
because when I started, I was like, I could eat the whole world. I didn't have to exercise. I was so fit. It was like, and I remember my older sister saying to me, like, not all human beings look like you. Like, you better start making bigger bottoms. And I'm like, no, I was whatever,
And
25. I was like, no,
thank goodness you did.
I was
I'm
like,
grateful.
whatever, they were fine. And then all of a sudden, as you age, you're like, oh, I think I'll add another inch to this bottom. And so your things change. But I've always been into health, I've always been into fitness. So I used to jog 7 days a week. I used to live in Rome. So I ate pasta all day long, and it was fantastic. So I always have been like a tomboy since I was a kid. I played every sport. I was like basketball on the boys team and soccer, everything. So I think fitness is great for your mind
Yeah.
and stress and anything that comes your way. So when I started, I was jogging 7 days a week, and I don't jog as much anymore, but I bike or I walk everywhere since COVID.
Yeah.
I have, I think we all should take 1 week off a year, maybe two, to ourselves and go to a medical spa or a spa where
Amazing.
you don't have your phone on, you don't have your staff asking you questions. You just turn off for a week, and you also reboot your whole body. Like I have a house in Florida, and I go twice a year, and I just do nothing. No emails. I rollerblade. I bike.
You
I
go on your
stay
own.
out. I stay out in nature. Like I really think, and sunshine, just blue skies, to wake up to that. And I did every year. Right now, it's like 5 years straight. Now I go to a medical spa and I just detox. And I'm not a big drinker, and I've never smoked, so it's not like detox. It's just a general
Re-
detox
do
of
you
yeah.
do that on
It's
do you do that
a
on your
reboot, and you you feel amazing. You come back like a different, like re-energized, ready to take on the problems again. But
Yeah.
like your mindset is not, you're not in overdrive. Like I used to go in overdrive, and COVID for me was the best thing that ever happened to me. Like first time in 20 years, I wasn't manic. I lived on a plane. I used to do like every week I was flying to a different country, opening a store, doing a something. And it's the first time I was like, this is the weirdest thing. Like, and I didn't care about business. I didn't care if, I mean, everyone canceled their orders all at one go. But I thought like, this is what I
It
needed,
was the
and it was
major.
the
It was
best.
the
And
major reboot.
it got rid of anxiety because I started getting anxiety because I was constantly on a plane, and when you're flying to the Maldives for 3 days, but then when you get to the Maldives, oh, we didn't tell you, you've got to do a fashion show tonight, and you've got all our clients are going to have lunch with you, and some of them don't even speak your language, and then you're back on a plane in another 15 hours. So it was actually a
Too
good thing.
much.
So I said to myself, I got to start like thinking about myself, learn to say no, which is really hard when you're an entrepreneur because you're so used to, you never know where the next thing might come from. So you say yes to everything. So you have to learn to say no or delegate, which is really hard. Um,
And
so
do you go on that retreat on your own?
the last one I went on my own. Usually I took my sister, we went to one in Turkey last year, which was fantastic. Usually I go with someone. Just
So I
not
think there's something
my friend
lovely
couldn't come.
about. I think there's something lovely about also doing a short retreat on your own, where
Yeah,
you go kind of just with no expectation.
yeah,
You
you
haven't
bring
got
a book.
yeah,
But I
exactly.
really think it's important, like, I don't know, you feel lighter, I think also from not looking at a computer all day and not, you're just, everything is better. It's a good detox, and I believe in intermittent fasting, even if you just do it once a week. You don't need to do it every day because we're women, and I don't believe that it's that good for you to do every day. So I do intermittent fasting once a week, but that's just like 15 hours. And for me that loves food, it's hard. Every morning I wake up, I have 16 ounces of celery juice religiously because like 5 years ago, I went on a shoot, and my model that I use every year showed up, and I was like, you're looking really good and your skin is glowing. And she goes, well, I just did the celery juice before a shoot a week before, and my stomach gets flat. So then I was like, what's the celery juice? So it's 16 ounces of on an empty stomach. So I've done it ever since, and it's amazing. And it's the only thing like that cleanses your colon, and it's a really good thing to do.
And
So I
what's
do
your
that.
sort of, is there a kind of mantra or a piece of advice that you live by? And you've spoken a lot about kind of that gritty,
Yeah.
never giving up, that kind of constantly. But do you think that there's a kind of mantra that really resonates with you?
Well, since I was a kid, I always said, you have to have common sense about everything in life. You have to have common sense, like on deals. You have to have common sense on don't do drugs, don't do this. Like common sense is in everything you have to have. But I also believe that women, we doubt ourselves on everything. Like we're always doubting ourselves, and I think you have to always go with your gut. The first instinct that you get from your gut, go with that, because otherwise, I don't know, women, we're so insecure, and go with what you believe. Don't ask too many people, do you think I should do this? And do you think, because everyone's going to have their opinion, then they're going to say, oh, but you might not make it. Don't spend your money starting a company, and everyone will have their opinion. So I just believe, do what you love. Don't ask too many people, and failure is okay. If it doesn't work out, then you try something else. But
Yeah.
if you don't try, it's even worse.
Yeah, my dad always used to say to me when I was younger, jump and you'll find a net.
Oh, I
And
like that one.
yeah, and there was a kind of there was a gung ho-ness about I think when I started, but I always felt that there was backups. I always felt if you're relatively
Yeah,
smart and you're resourceful, then if it doesn't work out, it wasn't a it will work out. It was like, yeah, if it doesn't work out, there's other options. There's other options of businesses. There's other options of jobs. There's other
yeah,
options of paths.
yeah,
And I think that's very much been is the same for me now. If a product doesn't work, that's
yeah,
fine. You expect some things to not work.
yeah. And
So I
you
think
learn
that
from
whole,
your mistakes.
yeah,
I've made
absolutely.
so many mistakes and styles or some things that have happened, and then okay, I won't do that next year. I won't put that piece in. And it's all trial and error
Yeah,
with any business. Like even if you're making cookies, maybe this flavor sells more than that flavor. And
totally.
um,
Totally. And I
just,
think whatever you start out with, like you said, even just the style and the size of the bottoms,
yeah,
it will evolve. When you
yeah.
look back, I don't know if you, when I look back on our early collections, I mean, sometimes people will send me pictures like of an old box that they've got from 10 years ago. And I'm like, oh my
Oh,
goodness,
trust
oh,
me,
how did
I
you
get
do that?
bikinis. I get bikini shots sent. Look, this is my old bikini that my daughter's wearing now. I bought 15 years ago, which is great, which means my things last for
Yeah.
years. That's the
Yeah.
one high quality will last for years. But at the same time, it's like, okay, maybe you should buy a new one now. So,
Absolutely.
but I think the
Brilliant.
biggest mistake that women or in general people make as an entrepreneur is they think they can do everything. Like so many
Mm.
times I talk to women, and even someone last night said, "Oh, I want to start this product, and it's for it's going to be shampoo and conditioner, but I think I'll also add on a face mask and then a meditation tape." I said, I was like,
Stop.
yeah, all over the place. And I just think like you have to focus on one thing and become so well known for that one
Totally.
product. And
Totally.
and then when you learn the ins and outs, the truck's not arriving, it's not just about people liking the product, it's the overall running a company,
Hugely.
you know.
And it comes back to what you said about people have got about 15
Yeah,
seconds and people are quite distrusting. So I think if you say, I have this whole world, this whole big brand from nowhere,
yeah, I know.
I'm not too sure. Whereas I think if you say, I've got the very, very best shampoo for curly hair, for example,
Exactly.
it don't only simplify things, but you are trusted a lot more by the customer because they believe that you really have put all of your intentions and research and development and
Yeah.
your knowledge is right behind that one thing, and then you can branch off. And absolutely would say that if you start with one thing and do it absolutely brilliantly,
Especially in my bit in fashion, like I talk to people and I go, I want to start a fashion brand. So okay, what's your specialty? Well, I was going to do men's and women's and shoes and this, and I'm thinking, I
yeah,
was like, choose one thing and get so good at that one thing that you have a huge following that just love your jeans. Say you make
totally,
jeans, and it's just, they're going to always come to you then for jeans.
totally,
But the minute you start adding on, you can, but you need to wait years
yeah.
until you're so accomplished, you know the ins and outs, and then you can slowly add things on, but they have to still relate to the core of the
It's
business,
the
which,
non-negotiable rule, isn't
yeah.
it? Absolutely. That and the problem solving. I could speak to you all day. I mean, we scratched the surface of what I'm interested in from you and sharing
Oh,
with
thanks
you
for
as
having
a.
me.
Yeah, well, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. Honestly, you've done amazing things.
And
I
hopefully I
know
can learn
how
how.
hard it is. So thank
Exactly.
you. And thank you for the bigger size bikini bottoms as well.
Oh yeah, I do all sizes now. I've
Brilliant.
learned over the years that they just each year I do it, they were like collect this.
Yeah, keep going that way, please, Melissa. Not that way. That would
Okay,
be helpful.
can I leave your audience with one thing? Make
Yeah.
sure that when you wear a bikini, it's tight to the body, because there's one thing I can't bear is when women don't tie their ties tight and they hang on
Yes.
their hips. So I'm always wanting to go up to them on the beach and retie their strings. It drives me crazy.
That is an Instagram series in itself. I love
Exactly.
that. That's brilliant. Melissa tightens your bottom.
I would come
Literally.
up to you I'm not embarrassed. I would come up to you on the beach and do it. I actually saw a woman once. She had my swimsuit top on upside down. I had to go and tell her. She was mortified.
If you do it to me, I would not be offended at all. At all.
Her
Brilliant.
friends were on
Thank you.
the floor laughing like crazy.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Um,
Take care, my
Bye.
love.
Now I got to
Bye.
figure out how to turn this off.